Today on 10 Minute IT Jams, we have Andy Cunningham, who is the Regional Director for APAC for Autodesk. So Autodesk is a multinational software corporation that creates software for the architecture, engineering, construction, manufacturing, media, entertainment industries, and more. So welcome to the Jam, Andy.
Thanks for having me, Nick. Great to be here.
No worries. So to start off, just could you give me a brief overview of what Autodesk is? In addition to what my very brief introduction there, and what your company's key mission is.
Sure. So, look, I run Autodesk for Australia and New Zealand as the regional director, and globally we're an organisation that makes tools to help people with design challenges, every day. Whether that's skyscrapers, the phone you're looking at, the car you probably drove, the chair you're probably sitting on, the movie you watched last night. Generally, we've had a hand in creating so many of the things that you use day in, day out. So we drive the software and the solutions and in the 3D design, engineering, and entertainment space. We really have a mission of turning ideas into reality. That's what we try and do, and more than ever, trying to shape a thriving future for our industry, for our countries, for our people. We really look to try and harness emerging technologies, and whether that's additive manufacturing, generative design, rapid prototyping, artificial intelligence, to try and change the way things are being made, both today and into the future.
Cool, awesome. And so we're going to be talking a lot about your virtual event, Autodesk University, today. So could you just explain the concept of this? Like, who is it for, and what are the key concepts involved?
Sure. Yeah, happy to, Nick. Look, Autodesk University is our marquee event for the year, and by its name, it started off as a learning event, and it was a lot of courses and training, for our early users back in the day. It's been going for many years now, and it's grown every year, far beyond just a learning event to a full-on, international conference where we look at bringing designers, makers, innovators, creators together across a range of industries, to this flagship event. And the goal now is really to explore the new way of making things. How do we imagine, design, and create in a new way? It's gone far beyond training, most definitely. This year, it's different. This is the first time we're not sitting in Las Vegas for many years in a traditional, physical conference sort of sense. So we've taken it digital with everything that's going on in the world, and rightly so. So it's a global digital conference, which has just kicked off today. There's 750 on-demand classes curated for designers, innovators, makers, decision makers, data professionals, etc. So it's really about learning and driving change and innovation. The key theme this year is reimagine possible, and that's where we believe we are as an industry, and in some cases as society. We're looking at, okay, what is the future? What is the new normal? How do we reimagine what's possible given what we're all living with today? We also take the opportunity to make a lot of announcements at Autodesk University. One that we've made today is a partnership with a French sporting equipment manufacturer called Decathlon. They make bicycles, and they're using our generative design capabilities to customize, custom 3D print components of the bike exactly for the need of the rider. So you're talking about mass customization being brought into a scalable environment, where in the past that might have been the few and the few and far between that could afford to have a customized bicycle. But what we're seeing with these capabilities is the ability for customization, whether that's a bicycle, whether that's the logo on the side of your sneakers, or the way that your earphones fit in your ear. These are all able to be customized at mass and at scale now. So it's our marquee event for the year, most definitely.
Right. Yeah. And so Autodesk is traditionally focused on, has been traditionally focused on project with sustainability at its core. So, and I assume a lot of talk will be going on at the Autodesk University about sustainability. So what are some key sustainability-centric projects that Autodesk is currently working on?
Look, it's one of the key tenets, most definitely, of Autodesk, Australia and around the world. As far as projects in ANZ, we recently worked with Bates Smart, which are an integrated architectural interior design and urban design firm, to design a timber building. This building stands at 10 stories high at 25 King Street in Brisbane, and it's the tallest commercial building with the largest floor plate in the world. Sorry, the tallest timber commercial building with the largest floor plate in the world. So Batesmart used our AEC collections and the capabilities within that to design a structural system that reduced the building's embodied carbon, the footprint, the emissions, etc. So over the life cycle of the building, both the way it was constructed and the carbon that it emits in the use of it is significantly reduced.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. So talking about the ANZ region, which you're obviously head of, could you tell me, like, are people focusing on design? Are they innovating through the use of technology? What are you seeing in this space, and how does it relate to the rest of the wider APAC region or globally?
Yep. Sure, Nick. Look, if there's one thing that this year's brought on and the impact of COVID-19, it's the need for innovation. And I think we've seen, whether you were caught off guard initially or you had plans afoot, the need to innovate is accelerated. And that's in our everyday lives, whether you're the local coffee shop that's had to change the way you reach customers, whether that's a construction company that needs to deal with the challenges of being on site with physical workers, or whether it's a supply chain impact to a manufacturer that all of a sudden can't get their traditional goods and raw materials from their traditional supply chains. The need to change has been accelerated, and we're seeing more and more companies approach their design differently as a result of it. The use of technology, the use of rapid innovation has accelerated due to COVID. So we're seeing artificial intelligence, we're seeing robotics, we're seeing 3D printing, and lots of other emerging technologies accelerate right across APAC. So not just in Australia, as a result of this, and we're seeing almost countries or markets skip generations of technology as a result. We're seeing certain markets that were very much at the basic level of technology adoption have skipped the progress that mature markets have made and jumped right to the forefront. And so we're seeing that acceleration rapidly. In Australia, digital construction has been a huge requirement. Things like smarter project management, health and safety, these sorts of things. They've always been progressive, but now it's brought it right to the fore, because we need to be so conscious of these things in the way we approach our business. So, we in construction in particular in Australia, it's a huge part of the market and the GDP. It's also been one of the laggards, so to speak, in the approach to digitization for many years. But as I said, we're seeing COVID and the impact of it accelerate that, and it's really changing the nature of work as well. So we're expecting many more jobs to be automated, especially in the construction space, and this is around safety processes or scale processes. And then augmentation of technology and a lot of other roles as well. And while you may take the approach of, well, this is taking away our jobs, it's not. It's just shifting jobs to a safer environment, a more productive environment. We've also seen COVID really be a catalyst for transformation in business, right? How do businesses approach their core markets? How do they approach their workforces? And one of the biggest challenges that we've seen, as I said, it caught some customers off guard, was the rapid lockdowns that we've all experienced. I know in New Zealand, I think it was a Thursday afternoon when the Prime Minister, issued a level 4 lockdown, bang. And we had one of our customers, Warren and Marnie, who are an architecture firm in Auckland, near where you are, Nick. And they were prepared. They had an underlying architecture of collaboration that was in place, but not at the level of implementation for their entire business to be fully remote. And they literally, over the course of 5 days, from lockdown announcement, I think it was on a Thursday, to I believe the Tuesday morning afterwards, they implemented their BIM 360 platform, or accelerated their BIM 360 platform from Autodesk. Moved all their projects actively online, and literally had business continuity the following Tuesday. And what we're now seeing is, even though things have eased and lockdown is not as prevalent, whether it's in New Zealand, whether it's now in Melbourne, or it's anywhere in the world, these inherent platforms of collaboration are remaining, and they're still continuing to use these collaboration platforms to benefit. Even if it isn't as stringent as a COVID lockdown, the inherent benefits are there in improving the way they work and collaborate with their teams.
Yeah. And finally, could you tell me what the company's plans are for the coming year, like priorities, visions, and perhaps just a few closing remarks on Autodesk University.
Sure. Yeah, most definitely. Look, our priorities, as I mentioned at the start, it's really about taking ideas and creating realities from them. One of the largest areas that we've seen advance is the area of generative design and artificial intelligence. And as I said, the impact of COVID and what that's doing is accelerating that. And it's in different ways now. The computer aiding design has been in the past through simulations. How do we get a better structure? How do we build a building to hold itself up with less raw materials? How do we make something more beautiful in a form sense? That's where generative design's been going in the past. What we've seen this year and the way we've had to alter our approach to design and make is we're now looking at things like, how do we use artificial intelligence to create safer airflow through a building, create people movements through a train station that are going to minimize, interaction or congestion. So we're using the smarts in ways that weren't important, to be frank, 12 months ago, which are now crucially important, to the point where, to some degree, who cares what a form looks like as long as its function is healthy, and safe. So we're seeing a lot of changes in what's important. This year we learned new ways to make things, because the construction site, the factory floor, the production studio, all of those things were off bounds to some degree for a certain period of time. So we needed to change our way that we work with customers and enable customers to work in different ways. And as they come back into those traditional environments, I truly believe they will be more productive and better outcomes as a result. Finally, Autodesk University, as I said, it's our premier event. It's a huge opportunity for us to share and work with the makers, the visionaries, the innovators of the world today. Because I think it's only in collaboration that we can really realize what we need to achieve, to power economies, to power individuals, to power life outside of the global impact that we're seeing at the moment.
Awesome, cool. Well, that concludes today's 10-minute IT Jam with Autodesk Regional Director for ANZ, and Andy Cunningham. So thank you so much for joining me today, Andy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick. Pleasure to be here. And if anyone would like to reach out on LinkedIn, more than happy to continue the conversation. Thanks all.